G'day and welcome to Classic Car Reviews, our first episode. Over this series, we are going to road test a range of classic and exotic cars to give you, the viewer, a better insight into how these cars perform. With our honest feedback, we'll be able to give you information such as fuel economy, handling, performance and more. So let's get the ball rolling with a 1968 Ford Mustang Coupe. Ford produced 317,000 Mustangs in 1968, and it could be purchased with a stack of different features tailored to the customer, such as interior and exterior colours, engine and transmission type. Ford altered the design slightly with each year, and by 1968 the Mustang Coupe had changed the side scoops, pushed the headlights back, changed the steering wheel and the petrol cap. In addition, they increased the overall size of the vehicle to compete with a muscle car trend that was forming, competing with Chevrolet's Camaro, Dodge's Challenger and Plymouth's Barracuda. Whether it's the classic running horse emblem on the grille, the distinct three-lens tail lights or the long extended hood, the appeal of the Mustang of this era is as popular today as it was back then. As with most cars of this era, sliding into the front seat is a bit tight on the legs. But your first impression sitting in here is that everything is where you need it to be, without reaching too far. The seatbelts, however, are the waist variety, and they can be a little bit tricky to get in, mainly because the buckle is so close to the door. The other deceiving thing I found is the interior is quite cosy, and as you would expect from a two-door, there's not a great deal of room in the back. Now, I'm only 6 feet tall, but I've got to say the headroom's not great either. One can only presume that in the 60s, folks were a little bit shorter than they are today. But it does have a spacious boot, which houses a spare tyre. The left-hand drive can be converted to the right-hand side if it's an import to Australia, although the Mustang was available in Australia in right-hand drive. This particular pony has the 289 Windsor V8 engine, although you could get 4 different engines at the time, ranging from 200 cubic inch 6-cylinder to the 428 Cobra Jet V8 engine, and the transmission was available in manual or a 3-speed auto such as this one. Well, I have to say, I can see why these cars are so popular. They're just so fun to drive. The steering is responsive, the ride is comfortable, and the engine and road noise are minimal. The 289 V8 purrs along nicely for me and has enough torque when you want it, but with the increasing size of the car since '64, I can see the change to the 302 was welcomed in 1968. The suspension is surprisingly good, even over the bumpier roads. And I particularly like the scoops on the hood. It gives the driver a real muscle car feel. Fuel economy is not bad either for a V8, but with so many engines and modification options, you may need to search the internet to determine the miles or kilometres you'll get per tank. I think the 1968 Mustang's a great car, with a huge following even today. The 68 is probably not as popular as the earlier years like a 64, and equally the fastback and the convertible are more popular than the coupe. But saying that, there's still plenty of these around for sale. And if you're in the market for a Mustang, their purchase value is still higher in Australia than that of the USA. I'm giving the 68 Mustang 4 stars for price. They can be an affordable classic in and around the 20,000 mark in good condition. Fuel economy I found was pretty good, and not as thirsty as some V8s. Performance-wise, the 289 isn't the fastest car standard, but with some modifications or a bigger engine, I think it would be. The appeal is there for me. They are a real head turner, especially since most people either know someone with one or drove one back in the day themselves, and it does have a presence on the road. Many people will say these cars are easy to work on, and parts are still plentiful too. Overall, a 3.5 for the 68 Mustang. I'm a massive fan of this era of Mustang and I find them a joy to drive. And with parts readily available, the options for changing engines or upgrading parts gives the Mustang owner years of enjoyment. Thanks for watching our first episode. If you've got a classic or an exotic car you'd like us to review, subscribe to our page, send us an email or drop by our website. Until next time, happy motoring.